We'll go straight there to the Mike's Marine hotline. Mike's Marine keeping you on the water to bring on our first guest. He is the host of the State of the Saints podcast. It's our guy, TJ Jones, talking about the black and gold. TJ, how's it going on this Tuesday?
Hey, it's going great. A little rainy where I'm at, but nonetheless, still a beautiful day, man. How y'all doing?
We're doing good over here, and let me tell you, it has not stopped raining for the longest time here. I think we hadn't had like 2 or 3 consecutive days of non-rain in like 3 months. Hopefully we can actually have that happen once again because it's been nonstop raining. But to look towards the Saints, it does feel like overall there's a lot of positivity, not only from people in the media and in the podcasting world, but even the fan base in general. It does feel like, based off of what we've seen, maybe it's just the optimism coming up because we're just seeing players not only on the field but also in pads once again. But there's just some guys on this team that you feel better about compared to last year, not only with that but with the coaching staff as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of optimism leading into the 2025 season. I mean, if you would have told me that Saints fans would have had this level of optimism the way that last season ended, I would have thought you were crazy. But it just shows you, what Kellen Moore has brought to this team. And also, he's got like a level of stability so far. I mean, everything has rhyme and reason. Last season was mostly like the Saints were just throwing something against the wall and hoping that it sticks. And I just think that the way that they have ingratiated themselves, in the New Orleans culture has really helped them out, and also open up opportunities for fans to be able to see the team in those OTAs and now in training camp. So I think that is serving a purpose for him as a head coach. But you got to win. You got to win. But right now, everybody's optimistic about the season.
How would you describe the way that Coach Moore has executed and strategized these practices? Because you look at it, it's a lot short. It's only, an hour and a half per practice, and then he goes and has like a film session review with the quarterback specifically and even the players in general. They have meetings, and then they do walkthroughs right after. But if you had to put it into words of how would you describe Kellen Moore's coaching style and the way he structures his practices, what would you say?
I would say that he's very detailed, and that's helping him being so young as a head coach. He's 37 years old, and he's been a player himself. So he understands the grind of training camp. He understands how guys have to take care of their bodies. And I also like how he's putting emphasis on the technology. I just think that coaches that have embraced modern technology when it comes to seeing how far his players have run in the course of a week, how much wear and tear, how many reps, like that stuff matters. And Kellen Moore has been paying attention to that. Doesn't want to wear these guys down. And you can tell they go out to practice, they give it their all, and they're refreshed. Every player that you hear talks about, how healthy they feel. And I think that is paying dividends. I just think that he pays attention to detail, and right now is helping him as a head coach.
I'll start off by looking towards the offense itself. We know the big thing and the big topic throughout this training camp and throughout this preseason process before we get into the regular season is going to be who's going to end up winning this quarterback battle between Tyler Shough, Spencer Rattler, and I guess Jake Haener will also be a part of this for a little while before we get to the tail end of it all. But as of right now, would you say there's a real edge towards either one of them that has the early advantage between Shough and Rattler?
I would say Spencer Rattler probably has the advantage. I don't think it has anything to do with athleticism, skill, etc. I just think that it's more so that Spencer Rattler started in 6 games last season. He had an opportunity to take part in off-season activities in his rookie year. And, the game kind of slowed down for him. He has that experience. I would say Spencer Rattler has the edge, but that doesn't mean that Tyler Shough can't catch up with him. I just think that what we're seeing with Tyler Shough is what you see when rookies come into the league. Man, sometimes like we look at guys like Jaden Daniels, or we look at guys like Bo Nix, and we feel like that is what the rookie quarterback is supposed to look like, but those guys are outliers. Most rookies that come into the league, they go through growing pains, and what we're seeing from Tyler Shough is what most rookies endure at the quarterback position. But I just think as of right now, Spencer Rattler has the edge due to his experience, due to the fact that he has started in games, but that doesn't mean that Tyler Shough can't catch up to him.
Absolutely. I think quarterbacks nowadays, you bring up Daniels, you bring up Nix, and Nix even had a slow start to his rookie season last year. But another one would also even be C.J. Stroud from 2 years ago, where it's just like those guys just don't necessarily grow in trees. Those are absolute anomalies of it all. Those aren't the standard by any stretch.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and even like, we look at guys like you mentioned, C.J. Stroud, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, and we think, what we're seeing is the start of something, that is going to change the foundation of the NFL. But, I mean, that's the reason why those guys are so special. If everybody came into the league putting up the numbers and having wisdom between the ears that those guys have, you have to ask yourself, how special was their rookie year? But, I mean, a lot of rookies endure what Tyler Shough is enduring right now.
When it comes to the wide receiver position, I find this one so interesting because depending on who you talk to, especially one of our morning show hosts, you would think the Saints need to absolutely make sure that they get a big body block out receiver. But as of right now, the main focus has been it's Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and Brandon Cooks, who are all a little bit smaller, but also a little bit faster that take the top off the defense. What makes me interested is, could Bub Means be actually the answer to that quote-unquote big body receiver, and they just really want to see what these young guys can do before they go out and get any one of these veterans, like, say, for example, a Keenan Allen, since he hasn't been signed yet?
Yeah, I mean, this is a great opportunity for Bub Means, but the more I look at the Saints offense, the more I'm looking at a guy like Juwan Johnson to serve that purpose. Like, I look at some of the tight ends that Kellen Moore has had his hands on throughout his time, the Dalton Schultz, most recently Dallas Goedert. He has really gotten those guys involved in the offense, and when they need a play, down the middle of the field, in the flat, they're throwing the ball to the tight end. So this is a great opportunity for Juwan Johnson, if you ask me. When it comes to Bub Means, this is an opportunity for him once again because they're not going out here trying to get everyone. And the one thing I do like about this match is the Saints are trying to roll with the guys that they actually have. I think that this is the New Orleans Saints organization coming to grips with what and who they are at this particular time. A team that's trying to figure it out. The Drew Brees, Sean Payton era is gone, and now they're trying to reestablish themselves. So trying to go out and get a Keenan Allen who's probably looking for a playoff caliber team or somebody else that can fill that void, they're not looking for that. They're giving their young, inexperienced players the opportunity to be starters or be role players, and I have absolutely no problem with that. If I'm Bub Means, I'm trying to take advantage of the opportunity.
You brought up Juwan Johnson as well, and that's actually kind of where I wanted to go next. I think it is interesting and a real possibility that he does have some sort of hybrid role, like you kind of brought up, where he could be that quote-unquote big body guy where you throw him out wide on an island. Let's just say, for example, on the left sideline and does a jump ball in the red zone. I could see that kind of like what we had seen before with Jimmy Graham. It's not going to be to that level of success because I don't remember Jimmy Graham ever losing a jump ball in the NFL. But but I look towards Juwan, and this does feel like if they really want him to still play tight end, but then split him out wide and kind of have those individualized ISO situations where he's the focal point, I could see this as an actual breakout year and make it more of a reason as to why they actually gave him some legit money compared to in years past.
Yeah, I think that this is a huge year for Juwan Johnson. This is an opportunity for him. I don't think that he's going to get the opportunity to get these type of targets. Like last season, the reason he got the majority of the targets because they were decimated at the wide receiver position, and he was the only starter that they can really count on to catch the ball. I think that this is going to be a really big year or a make or break year for Juwan Johnson because I mentioned some of the tight ends that have been in a Kellen Moore system: Dalton Schultz, Gerald Everett, Dallas Goedert. These guys have been impactful players to a point where if they end up going into free agency, they're like one of the highest priorities at their position. Dalton Schultz got paid by the Houston Texans. Gerald Everett got paid by the Bears, and Dallas Goedert is one of the best in the game right now. So I'm concerned if Juwan Johnson can't get it together this season. I mean, he signed a 3-year, $30 million extension. The Saints have high hopes for him. I have high hopes for him. I don't think he's going to get a better opportunity than a Kellen Moore offense, man.
TJ Jones from the State of the Saints podcast joins us here on RP3 and Meche. All right, bud, I want to ask you, I want to flip it and talk about the defense, because I think the offense is going to be fine. I think they're going to run the football a lot more than people think. That's what Kellen Moore likes to do in his whole career, even if you look back to his Dallas days as OC. But for me, the defense is interesting. The front seven has to play better.
Right.
And I said earlier, I asked James this question, is Chase Young and Carl Granderson, do they have to have very good seasons? And I'm not talking like all-pro seasons, but I'm saying, do they have to combine to give you, I don't know, 17, 18 sacks between the two of them for this defense to be back where it needs to be?
Absolutely. These guys are the next generation of Saints pass rushers. You gave Chase Young a 3-year contract. You gave Carl Granderson a contract extension the year before. It's time for these guys to step up. Chase Young has always had the talent, the athleticism. That's the reason he was the second pick overall when he came out of Ohio State. And Carl Granderson, he exceeded expectations. The Saints gave him opportunity coming out of Wyoming, and, he put on some muscle, and he had like 8 sacks. And that was the reason why the Saints extended him. And plus, they didn't want to have a Trey Hendrickson situation where, you allow a guy with that type of talent to leave out. It is time for these two guys to step up. This is a defense under Brandon Staley that gives these type of edge rushers like a little bit more freedom than a Dennis Allen defense. So if they can't get it done, the Saints defense is going to fail, because you look at the second level. You got young, inexperienced guys like Danny Stutzman, P. Warner, has been in and out of the lineup, and you also have Demario Davis, who's up there in age. And then your secondary, you got a second-year guy in Kool-Aid McKinstry, Quincy Riley, a rookie out of Louisville, and you got a couple pieces that you added like, Justin Reed and Julian Blackman. But these guys have got to get pressure on the quarterback. This has been, a thing that the Saints have needed to address over the last couple of years, and these two guys have got to step up. So they got to be the ones leading the charge defensively in order for them to get it done.
I made a bold statement earlier, and I want to get your thoughts on it because I like to hear your opinion on things.
Mm-hmm.
With this new defensive coordinator, new scheme, and the fact that they went out and got Godshaw, I think Brian Bresee is going to have a breakout year. He may have the best season of any New Orleans Saints player in 2025. What do you think about that?
RP3, you speak my language, my man, because I was talking on the State of the Saints podcast, and I said that Brian Bresee could have a breakout year. He's a guy that had 7.5 sacks on the interior last season. Now the Saints have added him, and they're going to be using him more as that defensive end. A lot of people don't realize that Brian Bresee played on the edge when he was at Clemson. And because he was so athletic, so talented, he had that swim move and those athletic moves you'll see from a defensive end. And then when you see him walk into camp, he looks lighter, so it seems like the New Orleans Saints had a conversation with him. I don't know about Carl Granderson. I don't know about Chase Young getting double-digit sacks. But I believe that Brian Bresee will be a double-digit sack defensive end for the New Orleans Saints. I think he will lead the team in sacks this season.
I want to talk about the secondary because it looks like to me they're going to roll with Kool-Aid McKinstry as the cornerback number 1. Maybe the kid that they drafted in the middle of the draft will be their number 2. They're going to keep a guy that I think looks like Malcolm Jenkins at safety. They're going to keep him and the slot corner role. What's your level of concern about the cornerbacks?
Just being inexperienced, you look at Kool-Aid McKinstry going into the second season, there was some ups and downs his rookie campaign. The Saints have high hopes for him. Quincy Riley has, dealt with injuries since the Saints have drafted him. he has been in the fold. He had an interception, I want to say the third day of practice, so that's a positive. But they just need reps and they just need experience. As far as the corner, with the slot corner, Alontae Taylor was doing a pretty good job at the start of the season last year. You know, when the Saints started to get decimated with injuries in the secondary, that's when he moved to the outside. But when you put so much time and effort in trying to switch from being an outside corner to a slot corner, I think that it took something away from him. But I think that now he can get acclimated and be that slot corner that the Saints need him to be. And he's really starting to emerge as that leader in the secondary is a plus also. So they just need reps. You know, I don't know what this secondary is going to look like, but I like the fact that they're trying to get younger because this is how the Saints are going to get themselves out of the situation they have put themselves in over the last couple of years with the salary cap and also just not drafting the players that can play right away like they did in 2017.
What's the one position group that you still have the biggest question mark concerning, TJ?
I would stick with the secondary. You know, like I said, the inexperience of the secondary is alarming. Like, I know everybody is, you know, starting to believe in Kool-Aid McKinstry, but he has to show it. You know, Quincy Riley, like, he was a ball hawk at Louisville, but he has to show that he can do what he did at Louisville and let it translate to the NFL. And then also, you know, Julian Blackman, Justin Reed, you know, now, you know, the Honey Badger, since he retired, like, who is going to step up and keep those young guys focused and, you know, keep their morale high? Who is going to be that guy to step up? I mentioned Alontae Taylor emerging as that leader, but, you know, these veteran guys like Justin Reed, who has been in some big-time games, and also Julian Blackman, who had some really solid seasons with Indianapolis, that is the most concerning position to me. Like, when you look around the landscape of the team, I think that they'll be okay at linebacker. I think that they just need some of those big bodies for them to transition to the 3-4 up front, but they've done a good job. The secondary is my only concern when it comes to the team right now.
Get you out there with this, bud. Tell the folks where they can go to read and to listen to all your great content.
Well, once again, I'm the host of the State of the Saints podcast, so you can check that out on all streaming platforms and YouTube. And also this season, we have the State of the NFL. That's available on YouTube and all streaming platforms as well. And you can follow me on X at TJAY Jones 8.
TJ, appreciate the time as always, brother. Keep up the tremendous work that you're doing. And keep doing that other tremendous work, spending all that quality time with your son and being a positive role model for him, buddy.
Oh, man, yes. I got to do that. And thank you all so much for having me. I really do appreciate it, fellas.